In this video, I'm going to show you guys how we approached shooting this low budget commercial with very few tools. I think that's one of the funnest parts about doing these types of projects is that it really tests you to make the most out of a very little amount of things. It makes you think of how to make it look big budget when you have little amount of gear. So pre-production was really important in this project. We had to go for location scouts, and these location scouts allowed us to see where the sun would be and in correspondence where to time out the scenes, because we didn't have the equipment to black out windows and things, and this house had tons of windows. So we wanted to utilize the position of the sun throughout the day to be, our backlight, because when in doubt with cinematography, backlighting is always phenomenal. That's my rule of thumb when trying to make a cinematic image. So we did these location scouts, but then the night before the shoot, we lost our location and we had to find a new location. We luckily found this older house. It was a very different vibe from the very first house, but it still looked great. The reason why we chose it was there's tons of texture, right? You got the wallpaper, the chandeliers, the doorways, tons of layers and texture and depth. So our first scene in this commercial is like the cousin comes home to her family and sees her, cousin, and they're seeing each other for the first time. So this is like very tungsteny, warm, kind of intimate feeling. And the whole commercial, as we go through it, you'll see it's a very warm palette. And this was just like an aesthetic that we wanted to go with for this project. But for this, it was very simple. I actually just used one light, and it was just the Godox F400 shooting through some diffusion. And because it's such a big source, it's nice and soft, we were able to tuck that away behind the door frame, so it created natural siders. And what a sider is, it basically helps control your light spill so it doesn't go everywhere. When I do night scenes, I want to control the spill as much as possible so that you still have that darker feel and you still have that defined key light on their face. So we had that beautiful tungsten key light hitting her face with the Godox F400. We had a little lamp as a practical as that hot highlight back there, and it just was beautiful. And on the reverse where we see the cousin on the top of the stairs, it's the same thing. It's just Godox F400 through a 4x4 quarter grid or light grid, something like that, and was sided off and had a topper, just helping control that light again so the wall isn't the same exposure as her face, and that way it allows us to create contrast in our scene. And I always position the light to be kind of this sidey, backy kind of key light. You can see here my camera's facing the dark side, and because of that, I position my light kind of in the eye line of the character, and you get this beautiful eye light and glimmer of the eye, so it feels alive in the character's eye. Kind of going into this day scene, this big wide shot, this was super simple.
We have only two lights playing right now. We have the Godox 1000, because it's bicolor and RGB, we have it at 4,000 Kelvins, just coming and hitting this wall here, just giving some texture, right? We just always want to create contrast in cinematography, right? So I'm creating lighting contrast. We have shadow here, and then it falls off into light. And then we have another Godox 1000 just pushing through that window outside, and that's just edging our characters over there and just kind of giving a little bit more lift, because I ND'd down quite a bit because we do have a window right behind them, and I didn't want that to be too blown out. So that's kind of the setup, and that's basically it. And we also have a flop here creating a little cutter, and that's creating that shape on this foreground wall right here. But that's the setup, super simple.
This shot was really great. This was the same thing. It was like having the 1000 hit that back wall to create like a little bit more exposure back there, some different texture in lighting. And then also having the Godox F400 at tungsten as well, hitting her face here and creating a beautiful soft wrap with a 4x diffusion. And I think I added a sider as well just to kill some of the heat off the wall, because every time I have a key light inside, not all the time, but most of the time will have like a hard sider, which is like basically like a floppy to stop the light. And that's just so that it doesn't feel like the source is inside. And by source, I mean where the light is coming from, because most of the time for day, the motivation's from outside, at least in this scene it was. So I want to make sure that it feels like it's coming from outside. And if I had spilling everywhere, you would really see that the source is from inside. I thought it was really great. And I set all my lighting fixtures, all my Godoxes, and this is kind of the best part about it being RGB, is that I could set them all to 3200 Kelvins, and I'm still getting like the same output as I would with daylight. So that's super fantastic. This kitchen was actually our first scene of the day. This was a really fun scene. It was basically the three Godoxes. It was the one pushing through the window here, backlighting our character here. And then it was just bouncing off the table and kind of filling in their face. And then I had another Godox just hitting that back wall over there, just to kind of separate their dark shirts from the background, just to, again, to create layers and depth in the frame. And then I had the Godox 400 just beside camera, just kind of bringing in a kind of a fill light. I had an 8x silk in front of it, just super low. It was like 5% or 10% or something like that, super low, just giving a little bit more fill because it was a very like contrasty. And then off to the side on the camera left side, I just had a bunch of black fabric like duvetine or bed sheet or whatever, just kind of taped up along the wall there. And that was just to create some shadow, some contrast, because when the Godox is pushing through this window here, it's bouncing off the white kitchen and was filling in their face too much and it was looking flat. So I basically wanted to control that. And that's kind of the name of the game with how I do things, is I always control the light as much as possible. Always using flags or negative fill to control that light so that you can augment how it looks so much better. You can be more precise on how it looks. And that's just kind of how I learned from other cinematographers and how I like to do it. And thank you to Godox for sending me their lights for this video. They're such fantastic lights. I highly recommend checking them out. Their app control is super phenomenal. Like the controls you can get with them. You can go into like certain mode where you can just like pick with color picker on like a color wheel of like what color you want with your RGB, which is so fantastic. The connection's phenomenal. The build quality of these lights are just fantastic. Like I showed my gaffer the Godoxes and he was blown away with like, you know, how amazing these lights were. I actually am such a fan. I am converted from Aperture to Godox. I think they're just such great lights. I love them and they came in so handy for this project. We just used those Godoxes and we were able to create such a great look with such simple tools. So highly recommend checking them out. There is a link for both lights down below. So please check that out. It does support the channel. I can't recommend better lights than Godox, honestly. I think they're really slept upon and they're really great. Let me know what you guys want to see in the future videos. Like, do you guys enjoy these lighting tutorials? Do you want me to go into more in-depth of like the different parts of going into production? Or do you guys want to see like more, you know, finances or how to get jobs or kind of that kind of stuff? Let me know. I can talk about those things as well. I just want to kind of know where you guys are at. Just leave a comment down below of what you guys want to see in future videos. But until then, please subscribe, give it a like and a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.